This is Dr. George Flinn, and this is your Shelby County Commission show. Your Shelby County Commission is working for you every day, and I just wanted to thank you for calling and telling us what you would like for us to do. We represent you, and please give us a call anytime you have any questions or concerns about our community. We appreciate it. Our next guest tonight, Ken Axmaker. Last train to Memphis and rusted sun. Okay.
Yes.
Now those words don't mean much yet, but they will in a few minutes. Ken, first of all, he's an independent filmmaker.
Yes.
You must know that about Ken. Tell me a little about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from Memphis. I've been here since probably '73. So,
okay.
I was born in Tacoma, Washington, but raised here. I know a lot of hardcore Memphians kind of, if you're not born here, you're not a true Memphian.
Oh, you're a true Memphian.
Yeah. So,
what age did you move here?
I was like 4.
4?
So, yeah.
Oh, you're a Memphian. Oh,
yeah.
man. And where did you go to school?
I went to ECS, and then I went to MTSU in Murfreesboro. And,
terrific.
Spent about 5 years in that part of the Tennessee. So.
We're glad you're back here. Now, how did you get back here? Tell us how you came to Shelby County, and how were we lucky enough to get you here?
Well, it's home, so that's something that I feel comfortable in Memphis. I actually just feel comfortable in this whole area.
Okay.
I was a pilot for a while, and I got to travel from one end of the country to the other, and I always really felt at home here. And I do like Memphis. It's got a nice romantic personality that you just don't see in a lot of other cities.
Okay, you just opened it. Tell me a little bit about your flying career.
Well, I was, it kind of interrupted the film career, I guess. It can be kind of a long story. I'll go ahead and tell it all.
Go ahead.
Now, I went to MTSU and was majoring in aerospace administration. And my last semester, I kind of realized I really didn't like this. And I was going to take a film class then, but it was like I had 21 hours, and I just wanted to graduate, so I dropped it before I even attended the first class. And I figured I'd go and pick up the film stuff later, and actually I graduated December '91. I did like a kind of a little cheesy film on VHS called Oops in '92, and it was pretty rough. I mean, it had a VHS camera that had an in-camera editing system, and it had blocky graphics, and it was. That one's lost, and thank God. And then after that, the first production, I think I really got a cast, and props was a little spoof I was going to do on Raiders of the Lost Ark called Raiders of the Lost Lunchbox.
Okay. About
halfway through shooting that, the couple that was in the film, they were boyfriend, girlfriend, well, they broke up, and there goes that production.
So did you have to kill one of them off or something like that?
No, I just never finished it. So, and then I read a book by John Russo called Making Movies, and he was one of the Night of the Living Dead creators, and he said that back then, this is the early '90s. They said he was talking about how if you really want to make a film that's profitable, you can pick up a distributor. You have to learn how to use film. And so I decided to go to Memphis State, took video and film production classes, did 3 or 4 shorts on film, another one on VHS, and seemed like maybe another one on VHS, kind of lose track. Tried to find other people who were like-minded and who wanted to make films, and back then, nowadays, filmmakers are on every corner. Back then, there weren't a lot of people who were doing it, and you told somebody you wanted to make a movie, and they'd look at you like you're nuts. So I ended up turning to the still camera and started doing a lot of photography. And I did cover a couple phone books here in town, did a calendar in Memphis in '98, and did some stuff nationally, and then aviation called back. There was kind of a big aviation boom in the late '90s, and got a job flying and flew. It was a charter company here in town, and we picked up a contract for Reba McEntire, and I flew her for her entire 2000 tour, which was 119 tour dates. I got to see parts of the country I'll never see again.
Isn't that great?
But I realized doing that every place in the country is about the same. Now, there's a Walgreens on every corner. You know, it's about it's becoming one big city is the way I'm looking at it. Right. But you've got to experience too. When you told people you were from Memphis, this just kind of, oh wow, I've always wanted to go there.
What's the first thing they say? Elvis?
Well, they
Beale
just
Street or what?
Yeah, just oh wow, I wanted to go see Graceland.
It has a mystique.
Yeah.
Memphis and Shelby County has this mystique.
Yeah.
That we who live here do not see.
Yeah.
But because we're immersed in it all the time. But if you're out of town, you mention Memphis or Shelby County, and they say, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You live there. What's it like?
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, because people here don't appreciate what we have, and that's something outside of Memphis. People really look up to the city.
Right.
And
well, we're well known for the music industry, and we're pretty well respected for the film industry. How do you see our film industry, independent film industry, versus the rest of the United States or the rest of America?
Well, the film industry in Memphis is kind of like a well-kept little secret. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I do the TV show Last Train to Memphis Shorts Festival. I'm talking to independent filmmakers and seeing the product and stuff that's being shot here and how well it's done. And we are, I think Movie Maker magazine rated us as number 10 in the country for filmmakers, and I think this year, that was last year, I think this year we moved up to 7. And you're talking, that's with, you know, LA, New York, Chicago, Miami, I think Seattle's in there, and you know, Memphis is not 70, it's 7.
Right.
So there's a community here that's really booming, and it's kind of unappreciated, but I think it's overshadowed by the music industry in Memphis, or the music history. But my personal opinion, I heard some old Stax guys tell me a while back that back in the 50s and 60s, the Memphis music scene was just, there was a buzz, and they were just talking about how this was the place to be as a musician. And they said it's gone now. There's still good music coming out of Memphis. There's just not that buzz, that vibe.
But I see it coming in film.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Especially with the recent movies that have come out of here, and the independent filmmakers are not only taking, and what is an independent film, first of all? I mean, was Napoleon Dynamite an independent film, or I think it was.
I think it was. Really, the independent film has become synonymous with like a low-budget production guy, but I mean, the independent film has been around probably since the beginning of film. That's something you'd probably have to ask John Bifus or something. Yeah. I don't know who the first guy was, but Ed Wood was one of the old independent film guys. I think even George Lucas was independent on Star Wars.
But independent means you're financing it yourself.
Yeah,
you're raising the money rather than someone else.
Out of the studio system, because it used to be there's studios, Columbia and I can't even remember some of the names, but they kind of set up the films. They would say, okay, we're going to have this director, this actor, and people kind of got tired of that, so they go out and do their own thing. They're independent of the studios, and so budget really has nothing to do with it, because I think Passion of the Christ, it was independent.
Right.
And
was that the Mel Gibson?
Yeah, and he probably had $30 million plus budget on that. So it is.
But he financed it himself.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And so it was technically independent. So
what is the most challenging part of making a film here in Shelby County? Is it you say there's a group of people? Is it and you might have to educate a few of us of what the best boy and what the key, the grip and all of that is.
Finding people is good. Finding good people you can rely on and trust. It attracts what I call flakes, people who say they'll show up and don't. If people really want to be professional in this, they need to show up on time and act professional. The hardest thing about being a filmmaker, we could go on all night about that because it's one problem after another. The hardest problem about being a filmmaker in Shelby County is just probably the lack of, what I hear doing the Shorts Festival from a lot of other filmmakers is kind of the lack of recognition and respect for the Memphis filmmaker. Memphis will bend over backwards for somebody coming out of LA or New York, but you know the local filmmakers, there's not the same amount of effort to appreciate what they're doing.
Well, we have a concerted effort to change that.
That's good.
And as a matter of fact, people say, oh, are they just fuzzy pictures that are up or things like that? I would like for you to see some of the excerpts of things that you've done. Mm-hmm. And we've got 3 clips, and I must warn you, this is independent film, and it gets a little gory sometimes, so if you're squeamish, you might want to come back in about 2 minutes or something like that. But if you want to see some good independent film, you're getting ready. Would you like to set these clips up?
Sure.
Before we see them?
The first clip will be a clip. I kind of compiled a little montage of clips so you could see different productions that are coming out. And the first one's kind of a dramedy. Second one's kind of a screwball comedy, and the third one's a dead serious documentary.
Okay, so we have a dramedy, which is a comedy and a drama, and a comedy. And then remember, these are comedies, and these are made up to be comedies. And then the third one is a documentary on
the Memphis Belle.
Memphis Belle.
The first, I'll go start in order. The first one's by Rusted Sun Films. They did an excellent job. It's called Divine Manipulation of the Threads. It's a clip with Ralph Hatley. I'm not sure who the other 2 actors were, but it's probably one of the better films that has come out of Memphis by local filmmakers. The second one's a film I did in 2004 called Service with a Smile. It is a quirky, a lot of people are doing heist films, and I wanted something that was just totally different, and it's just a quirky film that has gotten a nice little cult following. The final film is one that I also shot in 2004 and just finished editing about 2 weeks ago, and it's called The Memphis Belle, the final chapter in Memphis.
The Memphis Belle one is very touching, and anyone that's over the age of so-and-so will remember this and be very touched by what they say in this clip. But I think we ought to go ahead and roll the clips now, and let's see these, and we'll talk about them right after we see them. Get ready, Memphis. Here it comes.
I said, give me to a hospital.
Your boys tried to kidnap my wife.
Don't mess with it. Now, just get me to a damn hospital.
Why don't you just crawl your ass to a hospital? Oh, now you want my money, huh? You want to steal my money? Well, what makes you think you can waltz in here and steal my money? Tracy, look, I'm sorry. I mean, look, it's not that.
Ow! You want to put salt on it too?
No, I'm sorry.
You want to stick a knife in me and just twist it around? You know, with a little vinegar, you got some lime juice on you. That'd be really great right now. Let me tell. Oh.
You know, I think I may have been too hasty. I think I would like to avail myself of your spring cleaning offer.
That offer has expired. Try again in your next life.
I think everybody has a story about the Memphis Belle. And for me, it's less the historical perspective as it is a personal history as it is for all the people of Memphis. That's why it needs to stay here. the plane was first put on a pedestal on Central, and as a kid, everybody's got this story. As a kid, I used to drive by there and see it. And so they have that memory. It's like a landmark in time in your life when you remember that Memphis Belle on that street.
And we are back. Those are 3 clips from independent film. The Memphis Belle one is very, very touching. Very touching. And could you, I mean, most of us, well, some of us, remember driving by Central in Hollywood and seeing the Memphis Belle up there on the concrete thing, just out in the open. And it was where the Children's Museum is now. And we would drive by the Memphis Belle, and there was no fence around it. You could walk right up to it and climb up on the thing, climb in the Memphis Belle. And it was a very interesting thing to have. And the history of the Memphis Belle, and we all sort of knew it, but didn't realize how significant it was. How did you get into doing this documentary on the Memphis Belle?
Well, I was kind of like what you said. As a kid, I remember it on the corner, and I had a fascination with it. I really had kind of like World War II aircraft, and I used to make my parents, like on my birthday, take me to the 91st Bomber Squadron to eat, and then we'd go, look at the Memphis Belle because it was there for a while. And I kind of followed it around. Then I heard that the Air Force was going to come and get it and take it back out of Memphis. And we had just shot Service with a Smile. I was like, this would be a good documentary to try to help keep the plane in Memphis. And we were shooting and kind of getting it all together. And towards the end of shooting, the Air Force told the MBMA that they would be able to keep the plane. So we kind of were like, well, we'll come back in 2 years, show this, and we'll show it in a museum. They'd already bought land and they were restoring it, and we'll come back in a year or two and show the final home of the plane.
Right.
Well, 2 or 3 months went by and the Air Force changed their mind real quick, and I called up one of the members of the MBMA and asked them, what happened, and they said they just decided to come get it. And I was like, well, can we get in there with cameras and videotape? And they said the Air Force wouldn't allow it. They didn't want any cameras. So I shelved the project completely, just thinking it was done for. But I kept running across people who they didn't know what happened to the plane, and they would kind of, where is it? And then you tell them, and well, when's it coming back? It's not coming back. So
we're going to take a call right now. Yes, you're on the air with us.
Yes, I was wondering how the independent films that are going now, how that's affecting the way things are done out in Hollywood with the big studios.
Okay, thank you very much. Independent films, has it changed the way studios do things, or are they just same old thing?
Really, what has happened is the independent film scene, I guess you'd call it, has kind of become in, and the studios have, I think, kind of noticed this. So the way I've been kind of told is there's films out there that they're saying that are independent, but they're actually financed by the studios. So they're trying to jump on the independent bandwagon because they're the ones making money and really pumping out good quality films. It kind of hurts the little guy because you get like film festivals like Sundance that were set up for independent filmmakers, but now it's at a point where you don't really have a chance of getting into Sundance unless you have an $8 million budget and a name cast, and so little branches, and there's been some film festivals that have capped the budget at $1 million, which is to me still a lot of money. Yeah. But that's how it's affected me as a filmmaker. It just makes it harder to get into other festivals and stuff.
What was Craig Brewer's budget on? Do you know what his budget was on his film?
I think Hustle. I don't know about the last one. Hustle and Flow was I think $8 million.
$8 million.
Yeah. So it was a pretty good sized budget, I think. I don't quote me on that.
Where does that money go? To pay the actors? To pay the?
Yeah, it's once they get pretty big like that, there's a lot going to actors and trailers and keeping people fed, and it's a lot of money goes out. I've been on the set of several major productions here in Memphis, and you can, I mean, it's an elaborate setup, and you see where a lot of money goes.
Does it have to be that way?
No,
is that what the independent filmmaker is saying, is it doesn't have to be this way to get my film?
Yeah, because the first film we saw, Rusted Sun's Divine Manipulation of Threads, had no budget at all. And you saw the quality that looked like a Hollywood-made film.
Great quality.
Yeah,
right.
And that's what you really don't need that, but a lot of the big Hollywoods kind of run by unions, and you know.
What does that quality, how do you get that quality? Is that made on high definition, or how is it?
Well, they're using
is it made on film or tape, or
it's mini DV tape, and that's one reason that I kind of think there's been this video revolution, is what I call it.
Is the camera quality a lot better, or?
Yes, because they're using a Panasonic 100A. I've got a couple of Canon XL1s, and that was kind of the, to me, that's the camera that kind of started the video revolution in the late 90s. And it was the one that kind of put a camera that's affordable in the hands of the average guy.
Okay.
Video editing equipment's pretty cheap compared to what it used to be.
So you can put it on your computer and edit that way.
Yeah.
Now there's another little phenomenon going on, and I'd like for you to talk about it.
Okay.
It's called YouTube.
Yes.
And I'm sure if you haven't heard of YouTube, it's YOUTUBE.com or something like that. And you can search for video. It's where people put their videos. Now, have you utilized that? Do you know?
Actually, yeah, I actually use YouTube a lot.
How do we find your equipment, or your material on YouTube?
Actually, I've got a page set up under Last Train to Memphis, and
okay. So you just type in up and search Last Train to Memphis.
And it should come up.
It'll come up.
There's a lot of stuff on YouTube now. But all the films I get for my Shorts Fest, I load them on for people.
So if people want to see them, that's what I was getting at, is for people to be able to see your work, they can go on YouTube, or how else could they see it now? You have DVDs or anything?
Oh yeah,
like
we have
that?
DVDs.
Where can they get those?
LastTrainToMemphis.com, the Rusted Sun guys are at RustedSunFilms.com. And I've got kind of a little store set up, and you can go in and buy the DVDs, the Memphis Belle DVDs there, and Rusted Sun Films has their DVDs on their site. So we've kind of combined forces lately. So
now we were talking about the Memphis Belle, and they said we were at the point where they said you cannot film this. The Department of something said you can't film this. So what did you do?
Well, like I said, we shelved it, and we were in the middle of another project. I think we were doing Split Decision at the time, and we decided just to put it on the shelf, and lesson learned. And as time went on, and that was 2004. As time went on, I kept hearing people really didn't know why the plane just disappeared. And no one knew what happened to it, and I decided it would be a good way to show, and a lot of people didn't know why it was famous. And this documentary tells the history of the plane, why it's famous, history of the plane in Memphis, and it's told through the voices of the guys who were the last volunteers who tried to keep it here. And and in the end, it's we do lose it, and it's in Dayton, being restored, and it was probably the most famous aircraft in the world, and we had it here for 60 years.
Tell me something about the history of it. I know a little bit. I'm sure you know a lot more, though.
Well, it was one of the first airplanes to complete 25 missions back in a time where they didn't have fighter escorts, so they were losing 60 planes a day with 10 men on each plane, and the average age was like 20 years old. So I mean, you're losing 600 guys a day, and it was the first. They used it it came back to the States, and they did I think it was a 32 city war bond tour,
right?
And they used it to kind of show, hey, you can survive a mission in the 8th Air Force, because they were losing a lot of. I mean, we were not winning a war.
Do you remember the story about how it's got its name?
Yes, through the story that's on the DVD was that the pilot and co-pilot went to a movie in Maine before they jumped off, and they saw a film called Lady for a Night with John Wayne and Joan Blondell, and the boat was called the Memphis Belle. because she was they were on a riverboat,
Right.
and he picked that name, and they said he bribed some of the crew members to get it
To vote on it?
Yeah. Yeah, so that was how it got its the name Memphis Belle, and then she lived here, and sadly I think all the crew members might be dead. I'm not real sure, and I think she's dead too. So,
Right.
but it's sad we lost an icon that was really something that I thought, to me, gave Memphis another aspect of personality.
Well, this just shows, if you had not done this independent film, we would not have this memory. And thank goodness we do have the memory now, and we can have it, we can pass it down to our children, grandchildren, and let them know the significance of the Memphis Belle. Not only do they learn the history in the history books, but this is history that was right here, and you can see it, and you can hear the voices of people trying to save it and restore it. And thank goodness you did this, because it wouldn't be done by a major company, major studio.
Yeah.
So that's one real key aspect to independent filmmaking. Things get made that wouldn't normally get made.
Yeah, exactly.
And your others, who writes all of these? Do you find a script, or do you help write the script?
Actually, I'm a writer too.
Okay.
So
I'm talking about the comedy you had in there, and the.
Oh well, Service with a Smile was kind of based on a short story that our executive producer Bill Runyon had written.
Yeah.
And I wrote about half of it, and he wrote half, and it was kind of a co-written deal. A lot of the shorts I've done are just written by me, and it's just something I write really well in script form, but I don't write very well in other form. But I can write a script.
You can.
I'm pretty good.
And
at that.
then you have in your head how you want it to occur and how the actors are supposed to move, and then do you do 1, 2, 3 cameras? How do you do that?
I have 2, but we usually use one. It depends on what the scene is, and if you need some like B-roll or a shot from another angle, and also depends on the project. We did me and the guys from Russ's Son, we kind of started another little company called Vision Design Media that's more of a commercial entity, and we did a tractor show for the Mid-South Flywheelers.
What do you mean you decided you wanted to make money? Is that it? We really appreciate you being here and educating us about independent film here in Memphis and Shelby County. It's good to see that it's alive and well and on the upswing. And thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for locating here and doing your work here and not moving to one of the other that are in the top 6.
Yeah.
Thank you for staying with number 7, because we will get there. Ken Axmaker, thank you very much. This is Dr. George Flinn with the Shelby County Commission. I'm one of your commissioners, and I appreciate being here with you tonight. This has been a great show. We've learned a lot. We've learned about communication. We've learned about filmmaking, and it's been a delight. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here with us. Anything you want to know about, call the Shelby County Commission, and we'll try our best to answer your questions. Thank you again. It's Dr. George Flinn. We'll see you next time.